Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're checking out Dante's Inferno. This is going to be the classic summarized by Overly Sarcastic Productions. Now, I actually know a lot about this story because I have had so many teachers in both high school and undergrad and grad school who thought, hey, no one's ever done Dante before, let's do Dante. And then they would do Dante over and over and over again. Yeah, so normally I go into these things blind. Here I'm going into it having an absolute bias against it because I've had it rammed down my throat so many times. Oh dear God, why does everyone think no one does it, but then everyone does it? I don't. It's like the Catcher of the Rye of Greek literature, or no, well, technically classic Roman literature. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. I'm probably going to be a bit harsher on here than normal because the subject matter. More importantly, you guys know the deal. Link below, video, hit it up. And if I seem a little out of it, it's because I have not said this many words in a sentence in the last 48 hours because I have been praying for some kind of a relief from an absolutely massive flu. So this is the most I've said in literally days. Yeah, I'm not even sure I'll make this video if they'll actually come out. If it does, good, I was able to finish it. If it doesn't, well, we're never doing Dante's Inferno, so that'll suck. More importantly, you guys again. Video, you pressed up already because of the third time I asked? Good, because it'd be weird if you hadn't. Let's get started.
Heaven and hell have long fascinated writers, poets,
Echo?
and all us other flaky artistic types with our heads in the clouds,
Oh, because
or,
it's
as the person varies,
yeah,
several kilometers underground.
Is that just my... Is that just me and my end that's echoing, or is that just the... I actually have no idea what's going on right now. I'm assuming the echo is because they're showing the Sistine Chapel or one of the other chapels, so it's an echoey, grandiose effect. Or is Red's mic just off, or is my audio just off? I have no idea which one that is.
And on fire. But there's one iconic text that has essentially served as a hitchhiker's guide to hell for nearly 700 years.
It has to be on my end.
Dante Alighieri. It's called the...
Wait, presented with what? Presented through... Oh, throughout the rest of this video as an adorable but shamefully historically inaccurate chibi. Yeah, that would be much more adorable if he was a chibi.
It's called the Divine Comedy, but most people only ever care about the first third of it, descriptively titled The Inferno.
Yeah, that's actually a completely normal thing. There's actually a trilogy. I think it's Purgatorio and Paradiso, and I have no idea what happens in the second two. I was just told flat out, they're boring. Yeah. Especially since all the hard biting stuff was in the opening because Dante was literally just ragging on everyone who ran him out of, I think it was Venice? Venice or Sicily? I can never remember which one.
Which is actually a rather odd title because only part of hell is actually on fire at any given time, and the worst bits are rather more chilling. But I digress. The thing to be aware of about the Inferno before we start looking at it is that it's basically Dante's self-insert historical fan fiction in which he gets to team up with his role model / celebrity boy crush Virgil and watch all his enemies burn.
I actually know exactly what she's talking about, and I don't disagree with a single thing she said, but I am judging myself so hard because I literally never considered it. It's literally his self-insert fanfic. I'm so used to thinking of Dante's Inferno as a biting takedown of all the assholes, and the corruption that he saw was blatant, and forever immortalizing them as the monsters of their time. But then you put it like that, and I'm like, oh, wow. This is literally just someone's self-insert revenge fanfic. And that's not even a joke when you put it in that context. It literally is that. Completely and utterly everything I just said and everything Red just said is accurate. I hate myself because it is accurate.
Burning in hell forever. The other thing we need to remember is that Dante was Italian, aka Roman, aka he really didn't like the Greeks that much, especially not the ones responsible for the destruction of Troy. So let's keep that in mind as we read this historically acclaimed revenge fic, Dante's Inferno. Our story opens with our dude Dante wandering around this super sketchy forest at the base of a mountain, specifically Mount Delectable. Sadly, this is not actually a mountain of infinite candy, but is instead a symbolic representation of heaven, which I guess could hypothetically be a mountain of infinite candy.
100% cotton candy. If heaven was a pile of cotton candy, that would be awesome. But I hear heaven is a lie.
Andy, but somehow I feel that my dentist would disagree with my analysis. Having nothing better to do, Dante tries to climb this mountain, only to find that because he is somehow unworthy, his progress is blocked by a ferocious panther, a lion, and a she-wolf. And then Virgil shows up.
Oh, those are probably references to what later came to be the various depictions of angels. No, I think it was, there was a name for it. It was like 3 apostles who became known by various pictograms of themselves, including one was a human with wings, and I can never remember which one that is. Ta-da!
For those who don't know, Virgil is this ancient Roman poet who, among other things, wrote the Aeneid. And Dante just happens to be his #1 fan. So Virgil's like, looks like you're too lame to go to heaven. Fortunately, your dead girlfriend Beatrice has sent me to help toughen you up. And Dante's like, Virgil senpai, I'm your biggest fan!
I mean, Yeah, there was also a lot of passing out when he didn't know how to transition between scenes. But this is if senpai was a term back then, he probably would have used it. I'm not even joking about this. This is an accurate depiction of the story. How is it that I've done this book multiple times? It never clicked. Oh, because I was forced to look into it multiple times in a very specific context, not just to read it for actual comprehension. Now it makes sense, and I hate everything about this.
So Virgil leads Dante away from the mountain and down into a one-on-one guided tour of hell.
Yep.
First, they come to a gate with a long, complicated inscription that ends in the now iconic line, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." So Virgil's like, "All right, Dante.
I don't think I like this anymore. You really shouldn't.
Hey, welcome to hell." And Dante's like, "Hey, why do I hear so much screaming?" And Virgil's like, "I said welcome to hell, idiot. What part of that was unclear?" So hell is, unsurprisingly, pretty intense. There's dudes getting bit by bugs.
I wonder if she'll go into this guy, because that's actually a historical pope who was known to be an indecision person. And I know Blue has covered him, but I cannot remember his lore. I just remember that he didn't make a choice, and because of his indecision, Dante immortalized him as someone who was just chased around the outside of hell. So he wasn't bad enough to go to heaven, but he wasn't good enough to actually get into hell. So he's just literally tormented by not being able to deserve anything. It's kind of the worst punishment when you really come down to it.
Stung by hornets, all that good stuff. And we're not even in the real hell yet. Dante and Virgil have to be ferried across the river Acheron before they even enter the first circle. So they get to the river Acheron, where
real downer. Get in, losers. Oh
grumpy boatman Charon takes them over the river into hell proper in a very awkward ferry ride, where Dante gets to be the only living dude in the boat full of dead folk. On the way over, Dante passes out from the awkwardness and wakes up on the other side of the river in the...
If you don't understand why passing out was important, no one else did. It's probably because Dante had absolutely no idea how to continue the scene, so he literally just said, and I'm unconscious now, so I can move on. Yeah. Yeah, that happens multiple times. Yeah.
The first circle of hell. So the first circle of hell isn't really hell either. It's more like diet hell. It's officially called Limbo, and it's where all the souls whose only crime is a distinct lack of Christianity end up. Virgil mentioned...
Current champion, Satan. For you see, DMG story time? Why is there damage? Oh, OMG. It's OMG, not DMG. I thought it was Dungeon Master's Guide story time. I mean, is hell a dungeon? But no, it's OMG, so it doesn't matter. I got very distracted because my mind is very much on D&D right now.
That back in the day, the Big J himself came down and airlifted some worthy souls up into heaven. Anyway, Dante and Virgil...
Some of them. It was like the people who died but worshipped him, but also died before he did. And it was weird. And the basic thing is, he didn't want to be really mean on all the great people of history who were born before Jesus. So I don't want to depict them as being forever punished, even though I don't want to pick them in heaven because they were not mine. Yeah, I'm not even joking. That is actually the point of this entire section. I'm not saying I'm pissed at this story, but I have a love-hate relationship with this entire novel.
Will continue on their merry way and run into a welcoming party of 4 other famous poets: Homer, Horace, Ovid, and Lucan. A veritable dead poets society, you could say. Anyway,
Okay, Red, I'll give you that one, but that, it fit. I'll give you that, but goddamn, that was a low one. That was...
Dante gets to hang out with all the cool kid poets, just like he's always dreamed.
And he passed out again, yeah. Guess who gets to babysit this loser all the way to purgatory? Lame sauce, bro. Who am I? Lucan? No idea.
Almost seems like wish fulfillment, huh? Also chilling in Limbo are a bunch of heroes from classic Roman history, including Hector, Aeneas, Caesar, and a few others.
Wait, who are the few others? Oh yeah, this was so worth plotting to kill my mom. Electra? Don't know anything about her. Orpheus? Guys, where is my wife? Oh my god. Caesar? Because Caesar was famous, yeah. Hector? Aphrodite's kid, an ancestor of Rome. Oh yeah, and he was basically Italian, which was Roman closer at this point, so yeah.
Hector, Aeneas, Caesar, and a few others. So Dante and Virgil move on from Limbo and arrive at the second circle of hell, which is guarded by King Minos, who judges every soul it enters. Luckily, Virgil is Dante's get into hell free card.
So your wife and that bull, huh? Shut up. Oh my god.
So he avoids the judging eyes of Judgy McJudgeface and gets to enter the second circle free. Lucky him. So the second circle is rather windy and dark, and this wind, in fact, is the punishment for those souls in the second circle who are sent there because of their lustfulness. So, unsurprisingly...
Huh. Who ends up in the lust circle anyway? Lust, fitness and health, office supplies.
It's filled to the brim with some of history's sexiest ladies along...
This is so unfair. Sure is chilly.
With Paris and Achilles for some reason. Yeah.
During the spectacular interruption? Wait, Paris and Achilles? Oh, yeah. Sigh. This isn't really my kind of party.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Of all the potential...
One of the ladies recounts a tale of woe. Trapped in a loveless marriage, Francisca de Rimini had an affair with her husband's younger brother, and the lovers were executed. I think I remember hearing specifically about this piece because this actually happened within Dante's time period. So this was not a random historical figure. This was a contemporary shout out to, hey, remember this bitch? Because it was actually something that would have happened within his lifetime. So he's bringing up a modern thing to tie his audience into, hey, see what kind of people these were? Who you're all talking about, who you all know because they were just dead? They're in the novel. I know, crazy.
Eternal punishment someone could suffer. I'd say rooming with Cleopatra and Helen of Troy forever is hands down.
That's when Dante starts bawling like a baby because it's just so sad.
Down the one I'd pick. So Dante...
Your off-screen story is so heartbreaking. Tell me about it.
He faints again because, as previously stated, the dude's a total wimp. Although he wakes up shortly thereafter, and they head off to the third circle.
If you do this every time you hear a sob story, we're going to be here for 700 pages. School, I'm awake now. Was it only 700 pages? I think it's a lot longer than 700 pages. Although I read a really small version of it, so it might have extended the length.
Where it rains all the time is a sort of environmental punishment for gluttony. I don't really get this punishment.
Little interlude plays itself out.
Honestly, I mean, rain is on.
Dante runs into a bloke named Chigako, who preferred Dante's eventual banishment from Florence. Oh, predicts the banishment. Oh, okay.
Comfortable, but I don't get how it symbolically connects. Whatever.
So
they move on to the fourth circle, which is guarded by Plutus, who's generally considered to be the Greek god of wealth, but is here been downgraded to the much less impressive status of prison warden of the fourth circle of hell, where greed is punished. And the fourth circle is pretty weird, even by hell standards.
I know.
The souls that end up here are forced to roll huge rocks at each other in some weird, inefficient parody of jousting. And this...
I honestly thought it was always just a reference to the idea of Sisyphus and the punishment being forever to toil and uselessness, because they spent their entire life going for greed, and he kind of just equated greed with everything about Sisyphus, which, admittedly, having seen Red's video on Sisyphus, well, greed is accurate. That guy did a lot more than just be greedy. I mean, oh, dear God. Like, literally, dear God. They really had it out for him, and he very much earned it.
This sounds less like a hellish punishment and more like an activity from my middle school gym class.
Wait, seriously? You ladies call that pushing around boulders? My grandpa pushes walkers heavier than those. I mean, to be fair, some rockers are pretty damn heavy, man. It's like they actively hate the people using them. No, actually, that sounds way too realistic. Pretend I didn't say that.
Wait, bad example. The weirdness seems to get to Dante and Virgil too, who zip off to the river Styx, which is apparently between the fourth and sixth circles of hell, rather than around the borders of Hades. Who knew? So the Styx, aka the fifth circle of hell, is home to a continuous underwater fistfight between all the souls whose sin was wrath, while those suffering from wrath's emo cousin sullenness just kind of sink to the bottom and wait for someone to notice how grumpy and tormented they are. So Dante and Virgil get ferried across the Styx by this grumpy devil named Phlegyas, and after a brief interruption where Dante is accosted by this one dude he sort of knows, and side note, this happens a lot, by the way, I'm skipping over most of that, so they arrive at...
I've actually mentioned even a few so far, and a lot of this, again, was just him making references either to people he knew to tie it into people he had opinions about and see what they should be viewed as, or actively just saying, hey, you're an asshole. Not because he knew them, but because he was very much just mad at people who kicked him out of Florence, and apparently it was Florence. Okay.
At the far shores of the Styx and start approaching the city of Dis, where the bottom four circles are located. The primary defining feature of Dis is that it's almost entirely on fire, and that it's guarded by some extremely grumpy fallen angels who really don't feel like letting Dante and Virgil all up in the city. Virgil tries to talk them down.
I guess you could say, Dis ain't happening. Yeah, that's my payback for the dumb joke she made earlier. I mean, I can't actually get payback off this considering she already made the video and I can't do anything about it, but details aside, I'm going to pretend I can. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
And ends up getting set upon by the Furies for his trouble. And in my experience, this is how most bureaucratic processes end up. So the Furies threaten to sick the Medusa on our dynamic duo, and Virgil covers Dante's eyes to protect him.
Oh, hey, not cool. Senpai.
When a literal Deus Ex Machina appears in the form of a friendly angel sent from the big man himself, who opens up the gates of Dis for them, then lays a sick verbal smackdown on the various demons that were menacing our heroes, then vanishes back from whence he came. So our heroes finally enter the hell city of Dis. Lucky them. Anyway, the first thing they...
You gotta love it when an angel just sends you into hell. It's the best.
See in Dis is the sixth circle of hell, which is full of heretics and flaming coffins. Charming place, really. So Dante chats with a couple of flaming coffin residents who aren't...
What's cracking? must be our being wine? And not on fire. What?
Super stoked to see him. Stoked. Get it?
Oh, she even knew how bad it was. Not just because she said, hey, get it? Because she even drew all of them looking at her. Wow, Red. You self-owned yourself harder than I could do anything about. I have no way to respond to this.
I'll see myself out. So
wow,
at this point,
rude.
They're nearing the bottom levels of hell, so the circles are getting a lot smaller and closer together. And Virgil warns Dante that they've also entered...
You know that my time... Wait. I think that's... Oh, that thing you do where you don't listen to me and talk to all these dead guys? Yeah.
The bad neighborhood part of hell, and from this point forward, he shouldn't make eye contact or talk to any of the souls he sees. Virgil also explains that the seventh circle is reserved for the violent, which is a staggeringly broad category, as it includes people who defy God by blaspheming or defiling nature. And
I just hate trees so much.
Yes, I choose to interpret defiling nature as a broad category, including...
Okay, she put work in this one. Okay. Excuse me. Things that count as defiling nature. Ooh, cool little scroll. Looking at a tree funny, burning stuff, tossing meteors around carelessly, causing mass exterminations. If Groot isn't your favorite guardian. Wait. What? Oh, that's just insane. Wait, are there actually people who don't think Groot is the best? No, that's just a joke. Eating anything cute. Being a Carpet Play-Doh, what written? I have no idea what that says. Being a discard and or a cancer of the planet. I'm rapidly running out of ideas, I think. Oh, if Miyazaki moving don't stir your immortal soul. Yeah, Miyazaki movies are pretty awesome. Seriously, Nausicaa through... Oh, hell yeah, she's referencing Nausicaa? Dude! I know it's not the one everyone loves, but Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind is probably my favorite. Nice on you, Red, for choosing that one specifically. Also Totoro. I still need to see that one, but I heard it's amazingly cute. Oh, yeah. No carving your writing into stuff. Yeah, that's kind of cringy. That'll put you in hell for sure. Especially if that stuff is other people. Oh, yeah, because they do have to carve people with other people's names. That's weird. Jesus, I made this file way too big. But on that note, I think drawing Chibi Jesus might get me into some trouble. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. I'm reading Aristotle right now. Dude, super dry. Also, the entire chibi thing about Jesus. Just remember, there is that part of Christianity that did actually say any type of representation through art is an active form of heresy. And I think this was probably around or after or before when Dante did this, which gives me a lot of leeway because it could be at literally any time. And I could say I'm right because I said all three possible. Yeah. I mean, I have no idea when they track together. Oh, right. Nature. Clear cutting, making a generic looking Native American cry, making a bald eagle cry, littering, angry face.
Yes, I choose to interpret defiling nature as a broad category, including but not limited to littering. Anyway, Virgil and Dante run into the Minotaur, who inexplicably guards the seventh circle and is even more inexplicably sporting about letting them pass.
Wait, that means the Minotaur's down here, but his dad was further up and much less... Yeah, actually, yeah. Apparently they got family members here. I never realized that. Also, what did they just say? Why did I take the volume down?
Dante run into the Minotaur,
who
inexplicably guards the seventh circle and is even more inexplicably sporting about letting them pass. And it's not just the Minotaur. Yeah. The seventh circle is overall actually pretty cheerful from the get-go, full of friendly centaurs who aren't even...
Was it? Oh, yeah, I think this is the one where it's all the people who are not actually horrible.
Being punished for anything. They're holding down stable jobs now, and all they have to do to get that monthly paycheck is to shoot arrows at any unfortunate souls that manage to escape the boiling river of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's literally, it's not hell. You just can never actually get to the points that aren't hell.
This is hell after all. So yeah, the aforementioned river of blood is full of the violent conquerors of the past, including Alexander the Great, Attila the Hun, and some bloke Dionysius, not to be confused with the perpetually drunk / hungover Greek deity Dionysus.
Although, considering what she said at other time periods about his video specifically, for all I know, maybe that isn't entirely unfounded, because he did have the entire literal murder cult. Yeah, that was a thing.
Anyway, the friendly centaurs help them across the river, and they end up in a terrifying forest full of poison thorns and harpies. Yay!
There's a joke in there about just standard West Virginia brambles, but I'm not going to make that because it's way too accurate.
And to make matters worse, all the trees used to be people. Yes, this is the proverbial suicide forest, where everyone who commits violence against themselves ends up. Yep, the seventh circle of hell has just been a barrel of laughs so far. So Dante returns the leaves to one of the trees, and they go on their merry way. Things start to heat up when they get to the innermost part of the seventh circle, a giant desert where it continually rains fire.
Remember how she said they got smaller? Smaller. We're still on the seventh.
Especially for blasphemers and people who don't pick up their trash. Dante runs into an old teacher of his who's really only in hell because he's not exactly the straightest crayon in the
I'm not called a sodomite for nothing. Yeah.
box, but he's still a really swell dude, so they have a nice little reunion.
So, how are you? Slightly on fire.
And then Dante and Virgil continue on to the edge of the eighth circle, which is unfortunately a giant impassable cliff. But luckily for our heroes, Garion, a friendly neighborhood monster, shows up and kindly drags them down.
She even put the fancy text in. And on your left, you'll see Blood Waterfall.
To the depths of hell. Lucky them. So Dante and Virgil arrive in the eighth circle of hell, reserved for people who commit fraud of various kinds.
Honestly, this should be a much bigger one.
This part of hell is officially called the malebolge, and it's much closer to the classic.
Wait, the what?
Commit fraud of various kinds. This part of hell is officially called the malebolge, and it's...
I wonder if that name is inspired by a specific family. That's probably too... I'm sorry, I can't speak Italian. I've tried. And she even put a little sad face. Oh my god.
Much closer to the classic fire and brimstone hell than most of what we've seen so far.
Expectations? Reality. Oh yeah, because the expectation. Yeah, devil. Majestic centaurs.
So far. In the outermost ring of the eighth circle, nasty-looking demons torment the souls here with scourges. Among several others, Jason, hero of the story of the Argonauts, is inexplicably stuck in this circle, supposedly because he seduced a couple ladies on his way to win the Golden Fleece, but honestly, he's most likely
and while this is going on...
really there because Dante just really dislikes all Greek heroes.
Yeah, he does really hate all the Greeks. Dante and Virgil pass through the Bologna of Lateris, I'm not even going to try and say that, where they are stuck with their necks in, well, poop. I forgot this part, and I think it was intentional.
Like, all of them. More on that later. Farther into the circle is reserved...
Wait, did she say I'm not drawing that? And I am not drawing that. Yeah, she said she's not. And then she drew a small happy poop.
Farther into the circle is reserved for people who sell religious positions for money. There's a word for that.
Simony. Oh, noun, historical. The buying or selling of ecclesiated or astical privileges. For example, pardons or benefices. Oh, yeah, and then there was indulgences with expressly selling forgiveness in advance for something you would do. So if you give them enough money, they'll forgive anything. Is literally a policy.
But who cares? Where such sinners are unceremoniously dumped headfirst into holes and have their feet set on fire. Here, Dante encounters a former pope who immediately accuses two other still living popes of also being guilty of his crimes.
Also, they're still living at the time he wrote this. Frankly, I'm more surprised he wasn't killed after writing this because there were a lot of histories about the popes not liking people saying things about them, such as, hey, you're corrupt, or hey, stop having sex with your daughter. Don't look into it. It's, yeah, there was a lot of fucked up shit.
One could almost get the impression that Dante didn't like these popes all that much, having consigned them all to hell in his personal self-insert historical crackfic. Onwards and upwards, or maybe downwards, to the next part of the eighth circle. The sinners here are all sorcerers, astrologers, and
solicitors are farther in. Nope. Oh, think they'll show me a trick.
False prophets, and everyone here has been punished by having their heads twisted around backwards. Dante's like, no.
Oh yeah, the joke is they can't see what's right in front of them. Ah, well, twisters. At least I can finally see my own butt.
Dante's like, no, how horrible. And Virgil's like, boy, how dare you pity dead dudes. They wouldn't be here if they didn't have it coming. And in this part of hell, we find yet another of our favorite Greek heroes. In this case, the prophet Tiresias, who, for the crime of being blessed with the gift of prophecy by Apollo himself, has had his head snapped backwards forever in the eighth circle of hell. Am I the only one who finds this stunningly unfair? Next, Dante and Virgil come to a lake of boiling tar, reserved exclusively for that special wicked breed of man. Politicians. This part of hell is guarded by a nasty breed of demon called the malebolge, one of whom pops up unexpectedly and drops a politician into the tar lake, scaring Virgil and terrifying poor Dante. Virgil makes Dante hide, then goes out to try and persuade the demon.
I like it when the flesh falls off. Excuse me, sir.
Demons to let them pass, which they do, and they even offer to guide.
Wait, bring your friend too. We'll show you around. They're all kind of very nice about this.
Our intrepid duo across the Tar Lake. On the way, Dante encounters various politicians he especially dislikes, which the Malebranche are kind enough to pull out of the Tar Lake so they can talk to him. Of course, being demons, the Malebranche take the opportunity to shred the unfortunate politicians with tooth and claw. And unfortunately, one such politician escapes and dives back into the boiling tar. And when the demons try and grab him again, they get stuck themselves. Hilarious, right? It's classic routines like this that make this text such a classic comedy.
I just realized that's a freaking clown nose. I wasn't really sure what it was at first, and I saw the Hong Kong, because like, oh, that does it.
So Virgil and Dante try.
Now it's in my hair. Why do we work here? Just keep walking.
Try and sneak away from the now pissed off demons, but they don't get that far before the Malebranche decide that the politician's escape was somehow Dante's
How about we blame that guy?
fault and start pursuing them.
They got out pretty fast. Wait, what did it say? Damn it. What did I do? You distracted them.
Virgil scoops up
Alrighty then, senpai.
of Dante and slides out of danger into the next part of the Eighth Circle, where the hypocrites go when they die. Everyone here gets to wear a big fancy gilded lead cloak forever. Get it? Because it's symbolic of their worthlessness?
Looks like good stuff. Actually bad stuff. A lead cloak.
And just about the only interesting guy here is the one who was responsible for getting the Big J crucified, one Caiaphas. So they hike over to the next part of the Eighth Circle, which is so far proving to be the largest and the most complicated of all the circles we've seen.
And remember, they got smaller as they went. Smaller. Yeah.
So far. Anyway, this particular charming locale can be best described as a giant pit full of magical snakes. Yeah, hell.
What did I tell you about the hope thing? Oh yeah, abandoned hope, pit snakes. Yeah, that doesn't.
Oh, remember? So this particular snake pit is actually somehow worse than your average run-of-the-mill snake pit.
Oh, she actually made the Indiana Jones reference. Why did it have to be snakes? War has changed. Oh, because it's snake and snake pit. Yeah, that does it.
Snake pit, because these snakes have a magic bite that transforms you into a random, wacky, and or horrifying creature and or household object. Oh, and this section of hell is devoted to thieves, see? And it's symbolic because they're robbed of their true forms and stuff. Anyway, they go on a little
Are you going to carry me over? Everybody gets one.
farther into hell and get to the part of the Eighth Circle where people who abuse their positions of power and commit fraud go. Everyone rooming down here is provided with their own personal bubble of fire, which honestly sounds pretty cozy.
Miss West Winters are the worst. Yeah, they are. I got a family to live there. I don't envy them. No, just no.
But here's the thing. As previously mentioned, Dante is Italian and therefore solidly on the side of the Romans in terms of history. And unfortunately, the Trojan War was won by the distinctly non-Roman Greek side, while the Trojan survivors went off and founded Rome or something. So Dante's got some kind of ancestral hate on for all these legendary Greek heroes, especially those directly involved in the Trojan War. And
also, I just realized she's really depicting herself differently. I didn't even realize that was red for a second because she didn't outline her hair in, well, red. Talk about a different art style. How old is this? Oh, 8 years. Oh, this is one of the really old ones. Oh.
Trojan War. And that is why my dudes Odysseus and Diomedes are eternally...
Oh, that's why, because she always draws Odysseus as Solid Snake. Yeah, that makes sense.
Diomedes are eternally burning in the Eighth Circle of Hell for that little misadventure with the Trojan horse. Yeah.
If they were so attached to their city, maybe they should have thought twice about the stupid horse. I mean, admittedly, yeah, they should have. So I said thrice for a second.
I find this incredibly unfair, especially considering the
700 pages of bad stuff.
Odyssey. Hasn't the poor guy suffered enough by now? So Dante and Virgil scoot on past
Keep
that
moving, hotshot.
and into the next part of the Eighth Circle, where sowers of discord are continually chopped into pieces by a giant multi-limbed demon. And we're just gonna breeze on past this chapter real quick because Dante did something of...
Doesn't matter. Move your butt. But I want to see the cool demon chops dudes up.
A religious no-no and consigned a certain well-known religious founder to this particular punishment, and all I'm going to say about that is that I'm not allowed to draw him. So the
Oh, it's probably a reference to Muhammad. Only alchemists beyond this point.
Next portion of hell is reserved for alchemists, and the souls stuck here get to experience the wonders of every disease known to man simultaneously. The poor sod who let the Trojan horse into Troy is also in this circle. Wow, it's almost like Dante holds a grudge or something. Anyway, Dante and Virgil continue their buddy comedy road trip through hell and finally come to the edge of the Ninth Circle, which is bordered by a sheer cliff and full of chained-up biblical giants, along with one free, slightly friendlier giant who...
Wait, what'd that say? You gents care for a lift?
Who kindly lowers them safely into the absolute depths of hell. Lucky them. Now, the Ninth Circle is reserved for the absolute worst of humanity, which by Dante's standard means that this is where the traitors get to chillax.
Beatrice? Bad dudes, Greeks. Traitors! Worst traitor, Greeks? People who belong in hell. All the popes. Teacher. Greeks. People who litter. Evil trees. Rock, justic, fire, molten fire, boiling tar. That's all the idea is, yeah.
For all eternity. And I mean that literally, as the ninth circle is a huge frozen lake named Kokitos, which is actually supposed to be one of the rivers in Hades, but
not because of Kokitos, the river of wailing.
Whatever, we never asked for mythical authenticity. The various traitors they encounter are mostly frozen up to their necks, although as they get closer and closer to the center of hell, the souls are embedded deeper and deeper into the ice. So the conversation kind of dries
I don't think these guys feel like talking. Yeah.
Up as they approach the very lowest point in hell. And who should they find there but Lucifer, the big guy himself, the head honcho of hell, frozen up to his nips in the ice. What? Yeah, he doesn't get a very regal figure in this representation, does he? What idiot thought the ruling in hell...
It was this doofus-looking dude. Wait, that's what Dante looked like? Including the lazy eye? Honestly, I don't know, considering there also was a practice of redoing people's paintings to make them uglier. It's actually a historical fact that you could find that out sometimes. And then sometimes they would erase them by taking a picture that admittedly was accurate, but also kind of hideous, and then picturing it up as someone completely different and said, see, they're not looking like they have a family tree that's a spiral. Yeah. That's a thing. It's a disturbing thing. Habsburgs, man.
Would be any fun for anybody. Anyway, this shiny 3D holographic special edition Satan has 3 heads, each one om-nom-nomming on a different soul. The middle one is chewing on Judas, while the other 2 are doing the same to Brutus.
Wait, what is that? Ah, Jesus. You called? Go away, Jesus.
The same to Brutus and Cassius, who you may remember.
I actually don't remember Cassius at all. Brutus, though, yeah. This is all your fault, Brutus.
Who you may remember.
Yeah, who's the man? Dead Caesar. What have I done?
Those 2 jerks responsible for assassinating
Julius
Caesar.
Cassius
I gotta
was
say,
involved.
that is a pretty hefty punishment for 2 dudes whose only crime was stabbing an old guy in a fancy hat.
It was a very fancy hat, though, and he was an asshole. Are we done?
And so ends the tour of hell. Virgil grabs Dante and starts climbing down Satan, Shadow of the Colossus style, and shortly thereafter, the 2 of them pop out through the center of the earth and emerge in purgatory, all set to start Dante on the road to redemption.
Hope you like hiking. Now without Senpai.
Or something.
So overall, I think my test worked. I could actually talk this much, which is surprising because there's a point where I didn't think I could. I tried yesterday. No. More importantly, I like this because she skipped over a lot of the more, I'd say graphic, but it's not so much that it was disturbing, but Dante put a lot of detail in there about just his little petty concerns, and she skipped over most of that. And honestly summarized it pretty damn well. So I kind of like this. I wish this was my first experience with Dante because I'd be much more curious what's going on rather than having tons of random knowledge, some of which was interesting. A lot of it I just was like, yeah, I know this. Why are we still doing this? Again, I'm very biased against Dante's Inferno because it was something that was just shoved down my throat multiple times by multiple teachers who thought you never knew anything about. So you had the exact same intro to Dante that you always had every single time. Just, yeah. Also, if anyone's wondering, I had a cat accident, and that's on me. So, yeah, I'm fine, but hand bled a bit. More importantly, I'm fine, though. So, yeah, overall, I like this. I did like how Red went into this. I liked how she presented all the various aspects, and she did skip over a lot, like she even mentioned. There's a lot of things where he went on personal diatribes, just mentioning that she had conversations, or not she had, that Dante had conversations with people he knew, because that was a big part about this, because he was mostly venting about being kicked out of Florence. So he basically just talked about all the people who he could shit talk now because he ain't getting back to Florence. I actually have no idea what happened after this. Considering all the people he shit talked, I wouldn't be surprised if he was killed. I haven't looked into it because, I just did not want to deal with the Dante's Inferno any further. So I never went into Paradiso or Purgatorio. Man, whatever. I'll probably do it whenever Red does because that will be interesting because I've never seen him before. This part, though, I'm glad for what she covered, what she kind of postered over, and just it was fun to see this from a different perspective that wasn't, hey, kids, you want to hear a story you've never heard before for the 50th time? I'm still stuck on that, I realize. More importantly, there's a link below. I'm sure you've hit it up considering this is the 4th time in this video I've asked, and you've definitely already done that? Good. I'm glad I don't actually have to say that. But you did do it right. Tom? Look at me, Tom. You did? Okay, we're good. Nice. Not going to ask Keith, though. I know the difference. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.